Howdy, 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 everybody, and welcome to the NTT Indycar Open Series here at the Brickyard at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. I'm Austin Knight. I'm joined by Joshua Lee and Marco Barbanera, and we are ready and having a full grid here today. Welcome, Joshua Lee.
Yeah, welcome, Joshua.
Thank you, Austin. Excited for this race. 28 Indy cars around the historic Indianapolis Motor Speedway, 2.5 miles of just history here at the Brickyard. I think we're going to see some exciting racing, especially with this almost full grid that we have.
Yeah, absolutely. Hello from myself as well. It's going to be a great one. We know that the Open Wheel.com 500 is going to be this weekend, and this is basically, Austin, I think, big
the last final practice session.
Yeah, we have practice session when you have just a small implication of potentially bringing home the SOF win for this season in Indianapolis. So we are ready, the drivers are qualifying, but before we start, just let me first of all thank you all for joining us. And now, performing back home again in Indiana, Marco Barbanera and Austin Knight. Austin, you go.
Back home again in Indiana.
And it seems that I can see the gleaming candlelight still burning bright through the sycamore for me.
New mown hay sends all its fragrance from the fields I used to roam. When I dream about the moonlight on the Wabash, that I long for my Indiana home.
And after this, we will be fired from Apex, but it was worth doing. So I will leave you
I'm still wondering what I got myself into here.
I will leave you in the capable hands of Austin and Joshua. I will chime in every once in a while to have some news, some info, my expert analysis on the race, and let's see how qualifying is going then.
Yeah, qualifying is going all right now. Some cars still on track, waiting for cars just to have optimum temperatures and stuff. We do have about 10 minutes left at qualifying. Some interesting names up there and reshuffled. I know some of the Open Wheel 500 drivers are using their setups, but they aren't putting in the time that they qualify. But this is the first time I've ever seen a 38 in qualifying.
Qualifying is already done. The drivers have been very quick, and so we can go through the starting grid for this most important race.
26 cars heading up the grid. On the pole, Matt Holloway. In second, Henry Bennett, current points leader in the IndyCar Open Series. Third, John Downing. Fourth, Andreas Ake. And in fifth, Silvio Sanchez.
After Sofia, it is Marco Antonio Brazil. He was charging in pace in Vegas, and then he had that unfortunate incident, which is haunting him in the SOF races. He's followed up by Simon Bryant, Adam Blocker, Riley Thompson, AJ Burton, Pierre Borden, and Sam Blackwood in P12.
Looking down the rest of the grid, Aaron Ralston 13th, 14th, John Keefe, 15th, I.M. Keeman, 16th, Daniel Sharp, 17th, Antoner Jr., 8th, Miguel Fernandez, 9th, Will Lamb, and in 20th, Ty Kevith.
Right behind him in P21 is Brendan Lichtenberg, Laura Gearhart, Alessandro Deladonde, Marco's best friend, Luis Era, Frederick Campbell, and Hugo Olsen in the very back row.
Definitely an eclectic group of drivers here. Something interesting to note, starting in second, Henry Bennett, points leader in the IndyCar Open Series with 1205 points. With 1,019 is John Downing in second. Don't believe I saw him on the grid. Yet, no, he is. He is starting P3, right behind Matt Holloway on the inside line. And also on the grid is last week's winner from Mosport, Adam Blocker. He'll be starting in the 8th spot.
Yeah, it's actually surprising to see Adam Blocker started from 8th. We see him dominating a lot in most IndyCar, Indy 500s, but he does tend to start from the grid as the pace lap is about to start right now.
26 car is going to take to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway for one quick pace lap, and then we will drop the green flag and get them all underway. Pierre Boarding, number 24. I want to talk about him for a second because I noticed him on the grid. I used to watch these races a couple years back, wanting to become a broadcaster one day with my own IRTVO overlay, and I would run the IndyCar series, and I would see Pierre Bourdon in the race almost every time, and I would see him so consistent, run up in the top 5 almost at any track he was at. So I think Pierre Bourdon is going to be one to watch today. He's starting from P13, but let it be known, at Indianapolis, you can go from last place to first in a matter of a lap.
Yeah, just look at Juan Pablo Montoya in the race. He had an incident at the very start of the race, was running in last for a while, and then came to win it all the way from last place. So anything could happen here at the Brickyard. Looking at AJ Burton in the Indy 500 group. Marco Arroyo, Brazil for TES Racing, starting in a familiar spot because he's starting in P7 for the Open Wheels 500, which is this Sunday on the iRacing Esports Network.
Talk about these beautiful cars. Dallara IR18s, 1,600 pounds, V6 turbocharged engine, performing over 700 horsepower. They're going to be going 220 miles an hour plus into each corner. This is going to be one exciting race, especially with this full grid we have. I am so excited to go green field going through turn number 3.
Yeah, as we're on the final corner, the revs are getting higher. The tension is building as the iRacing pace car is pulling off right now. Ladies and gentlemen, buckle your seatbelts because we're about to go racing here at the Brickyard. We are going green, green, green.
Alabay gets a good start, immediately jumping to the inside. That's Henry Bennett. He's going to try to block John Downey from getting it past him through turn number 1. But all good, all safe through turn number 1. The field getting single file very fast.
Coming out of turn 2 right now, looking at the back of the hall, bro. Henry Bennett already looking down that inside line. Look at John Downing now, almost making it 3 wide down the back straight as they're 2 by 2. And heading into turn 3, they're going to enter it side by side, 2 by 2, and almost 3 wide, I believe.
John Downing was looking 3 wide down the back straightaway, figured out that it was not a good idea on lap 1. Now Henry Bennett will take the lead, but it looks like we might have a 3-wide battle coming up in the front stretch.
We're going to have a 3-way battle, 4-way battle. Everyone's going for positions. I see Adam Blocker. He's moved up a few spots as well.
John Downing will take the lead going into turn number 1. Bennett will fall back to 2nd, 3rd, Holloway, 4th. Now Sanchez, and in 5th, it's Andreas Ike.
They're coming down the back straight once more. Here comes Henry Bennett, side by side with Downing. Bennett up onto the inside, but look at Marco Antonio Brazil making it 3 wide, diving into turn 3.
Brazil went for the pass. He was able to complete it. The driver on the outside falling back a little bit, trying to make sure it was not 3 wide going into that corner. We know these Indy cars are very light going around Indianapolis, easy to move up the track just inches and cause a wreck. These drivers are doing a pretty good job at keeping it steady so far.
Oh my goodness, these guys are going 2 wide right now. And we got a crash in the background at the exit of turn 1.
Caution is out and flipping cars through turn number 2. Right into the catch fence goes a few of them. Looks like Frederick Campbell involved, maybe Laura Gearhart.
Oh, that is hard. And I believe Daniel Sharp was also involved in there. So that was Laura getting turned around on the apex of turn 1, just gets blindsided by cars, nowhere to go on the racing line. I believe there was also an incident up above ahead, but what a major incident.
That looked like a typical Indianapolis incident, just getting too close together. Inside line moving up just ever so slightly.
Oh, there were 2 crashes that were happening at the exact same time. 2 separate incidents. That is loose era.
Trying to find out who the other car was, huh? Because you are right.
It was an black and orange car.
Maybe it was that the Daniel Sharp machine. Yeah, maybe. You know, it was. You know, it was certainly. You are absolutely right, by the way. Two separate crashes. First caution of the day, as see what the drivers will elect to do. Sadly, we already lost Daniel Sharp, Freddie Campbell, and Luis Area, and Laura Gerhardt. They all have towed. No, Laura Gerhardt is still going. But that car, you can see the left side, apart from the damage on the wings, that can be repaired. But sadly, the damage on the left side of the car is going to be tough to survive. Hugo Olson also has got some damage on his wings, as you can see here. And let's see the side pod. Yeah, the right side of the car looks pretty much smashed. So let's see if people elect to pit already or not, as John Downing leads the field into turn 4.
Yeah, and getting that wing damage fixed is very difficult here, especially on the spoiler, on the side pods, because really once you get a tiny bend either in the wing or the spoiler, you're going to be slow with basically the air stopping you from going faster. These cars are finely tuned machines built for speed. Something goes into that, a wrench goes into that, and you're going to be slow and falling down the grid. It looks like we have a couple lead lap cars bringing it into pit road, but not as many as I thought for being on lap 5.
Yeah, lap 5. It's been a short run. Everyone's just warming up the tires, getting a feel of the race. This amount of cars. I was in the race before that, and pretty much everyone kind of stayed out. So it's a hit or miss kind of situation at the very start of these races, but you never know when the next yellow flag is going to come in. So this is typical IndyCar strats that we see, where half the field goes in, half the field stays out, and they just see if they can go longer than 10 laps. And when that starts happening, we start having these very long green flag runs, kind of like we did at Milwaukee Mile, where the first part of the race we had 5 laps caution, 5 laps caution, 5 laps caution, and then 1, and it just went on for 100 laps.
It is possible under green flag circumstances for cars to spread out quite a bit, but it is also possible for cars to reach each other extremely quickly. Once they kind of get spread out, it all becomes kind of every car for themselves, and the speed of these setups and the cars themselves really show during long green flag runs. What also shows is tire management. It is very easy with the high speeds and basically going flat out throughout each corner here at Indianapolis for those tires to wear extremely quickly. I think this race is going to be won by whoever can master that tire wear and just have their tires be as fresh as possible for as long as possible.
Whoever keeps their car clean and tires is going to be the key, as the pace car is pulling in right now. We're looking back from P1. John Downing looking at the front nose of Henry Bennett as he's in charge of the restart, and we're going back to green.
Downing with a nice start, went a little bit early there.
We're already crashing.
Already have a crash, roofs around, flipping. I don't know who's that flipping. It looks like the 4 involved.
Aaron Rufus was involved. AJ
Simon
Burton.
Bryan is there.
John Keefe was also involved. I think Laura Gearhart made it past there.
I think Ty Kevitz was the car upside down.
Let's see the replay, guys. I think it was AJ Burton actually upside down. What happened there?
Oh, he just got squeezed. He got bumped from behind.
Oh,
I believe the
dear
number
me.
12 car bumped into him. And wait, that was AJ Burton being the number 12. Okay, somebody has the number 12 written on the car.
So AJ
Looks
Burton
like
is
just the field wanting to go a little bit earlier.
So AJ got clipped by another competitor.
Nowhere to go.
Trying to see who was sitting behind him.
I know Dalladone was sitting behind him.
No, Dalladone was the black and pink car.
Yeah, there he is. He's moving around the way.
Yeah, but he survived.
I know. I thought you wanted to see it with a car that survived it.
No, I wanted to see who it was. Number 14.
Yes, it was 14.
It
that
was Sam
would
Blackwood.
Be, Sam. Yes, Sam.
Sam Blackwood. It looks like he just wanted to get going a little bit faster than the cars in front of him were wanting to go. Plowed right into the back of his Indy car and caused that pile up you just saw. I believe that added to the out cars by 2, AJ Burton and John Keefe. The other cars are trying to get their damage fixed before we go back to racing.
Yeah, Sam Blackwood and that Ruby-inspired paint livery. I believe that's what it said. Yes, it is a Ruby car. Nice choice of cars. As he goes into the pits to probably serve a penalty and get that damage fixed. And we're riding on board with Alessandro Dalladonde and Marco. I think there's something interesting written on his rear wing. Is that your name?
He's racing with the vintage Barbanera Racing livery, and that was a surprise, to be honest, because me and him are now in satellite racing. And I just wanted to show the great avoiding skill that he has. He's that kind of driver, you know, and he was able to avoid that mess. But on the other hand, a very big disappointment for other drivers, you know, involved in that mess. As I have.
He was able to avoid that mess, and he was able to gain a lot of positions since the start. Alessandro Dalladone has gained 12 positions, started all the way back in the 23rd spot. He's now up in P11 as the field paces down the back straightaway, anxiously waiting to go back racing.
I have a very angry AJ Burton talking to me in private. Very disappointed for what happened, and we can imagine him wanting to shake down the car. And of course, not only for the Open Wheel 500, but also, again, we are talking about the SOF race at Indianapolis. It's one of it is the biggest race of the year in this particular championship in the Open Series. And to have it end like this on a crash like that certainly was not what these drivers wanted. As I think, yeah, we're going to have one more pace lap, I think, yeah.
Yeah, one more pace lap, and it kind of shows what happens when everyone is just on nerve at the very start of these races on a restart, and what happens when a car at the very start has the entire field in his order and can go whenever he wants. He kind of just start playing mind games, and down this giant front straight, the start-finish line is about 3/4 of the way down the front straight from where you would actually think it would be, which would be halfway down the straight, unlike most ovals. It's kind of like Talladega in a way, but the restarts here get very hectic, and that certainly put that one to a T. So I believe these guys will be more cautious from now on these restarts.
Yeah, and I think everybody just trying to figure out this IndyCar again. It has been a while, I believe, since 2019 Season 3 that anyone has raced this IndyCar with other people in an official iRacing race in a while. So everyone's just trying to get their cars under themselves, trying to figure out the track again. And another thing, it's not too early to start preparing for next year's Indy 500 special event. It is going on in May, and it's never too early to start preparing for that thing, especially because these cars will not change, to my knowledge, next year except for the visor on the front of it. I don't think much is going to change, so these drivers trying to figure out their setup so they can have a really good car come May.
I just had a radio communication from one of the drivers saying that I believe they're going to go faster this time and not wait along, and he's just going to start going on green now instead of letting him decide in order for the safety of the group. So Downing and everyone else is thinking about the rest of the field now, and
yeah, and
they know it's
Downing
not
went,
enjoyable. Yeah,
and Downing went just a little bit early there. The leader can go anywhere between the pace car going off and the green being given, and they can go anywhere in between that. But usually it's, if you go on pace car, the end of the field isn't going to catch up as fast. They're going to get a slower start, spread out the field more. If everybody goes on green, everybody gets the green at the same time, so everyone's going to get an equal start. We're going to see closer racing, but not wrecks, as we just saw on that last restart. The field's going to come across the yard of bricks, and I believe the lights will go out on the pace car. Yes, they are. We're going back to racing on lap number 10 of 85. John Downing leading the way, Henry Bennett in second, Matt Holloway in third, fourth, Marco Aurelio Brazil, and in fifth, Adam Blocker.
I think a longer caution than usual, guys, because basically the caution went out on the start-finish line. So that's why we are having a bit of a longer caution than usual. But yeah, finally getting back to Green Flag Racing, we still have 20 cars running. The retirees: Simon Bryant, AJ Burton, John Keefe, Daniel Sharp, Luis Area, and Frederick Campbell. Hopefully we have a cleaner restart, like you guys were saying. You know, that was a very hard price to pay for some of these drivers. Hopefully they will learn from it.
Yeah, hopefully is a big word for these guys, because hopefully they do have a restart, and hopefully they do make up a few spots, and hopefully it's not before the start finish line, where if you do get a better restart than the guy in front of you, hopefully you don't pass him up onto the inside.
Field making their way through turn number 3 onto that short straightaway in between each of the corners. They'll make their way through turn number 4. Pace car will make its way into the safety of pit road, and we'll be back to racing. The largest gain this race has been Alessandro Dalladone, started all the way back in the 23rd spot. They have moved up 12 spots to P11, and the biggest loss is 14 by Simon Bryant. Started up, I believe, in the 7th position, and he's now all the way out of the race in 22nd. But the pace car in the safety of pit road. Green flag gonna go out. John Downing leads the field on into turn number 1.
He had a good restart, caught Henry Bennett out a little bit, but Bennett is right on his tail, taking a little wider line, trying to chase down John Downing. Matt Hollowbro sitting back there and enjoying this fight, as Bennett taking wider lines, trying to catch out John Downing. He's going to get the draft right now and aim onto the inside.
He'll go to the inside. Downing not going to throw the block. A bit early still in this race. We're only on lap 10. Bennett going to go to the inside, take the lead going into turn number 3 as the field single files out, and it looks like they're not quite done with the battles. Looks like we might have a battle for third.
Yeah, the battle for first. This entire first group is Bennett, Downing, Hollowbro, Brazil, Blocker, and Elk. As we see Downing going down to the inside. Here comes Brazil. Brazil moves it up into third. He's up onto the inside of Bennett. Can Brazil inch his way into second? No, he can't.
Brazil stormed his way down to the inside on the front straightaway. Could have went 3 wide for the lead. Decided not to, but now he is right on the back bumper of Henry Bennett. He'll go to the inside. We have a 3 wide battle for the lead.
And we have a new leader coming out of turn 3. It's Marco Agoria, Brazil.
Brazil off of turn number 4, trying to gap the field, but here comes Bennett once again. These IndyCars so good in the draft. Bennett to the outside. We saw him use the outside on the restart. Can he pass him on the outside?
No, he's not. The lower grip in this, a higher turn, as well as the dirty air from these cars, is not going to help them out, as we have another caution.
Wrecking on turn number 2. Such a good battle going on, but it's going to be interrupted for a few laps.
Oh, no.
Looks like Lichtenberg involved.
Alessandro Dalladone was involved as well. The biggest mover so far in the field had a car on his outside, got loose, and got into his side.
Just tapped from behind. It's so easy to get these Indy cars upset. You just saw it. One light tap on the back bumper, and you're spinning, possibly going up in the air.
Yeah, that's the end of his race. The entire back end of that car missing. I believe he can get that fixed just a little bit.
You can get that repaired, but the side pod got a big hit on the left side, as you can see. So that's the end of his race. When the caution came out, or well, that's at least the end of his competitive running in this race. Brazil was the leader in front of Bennett, Downing, Blocker, and Ake, as we have our third already caution of the night, guys, and or I should say the afternoon for you. It's certainly the most cautions we've had this season already at this point in the race, Austin.
Yeah, this early in the race, it's a very these guys driving like you can win it in 1 lap instead of a 85 lap marathon. You get this in the iRacing official race as well. It just happens. Some people think you can win the race on the first lap. I had somebody do it to me last race, the race before this. If you ever want to know what's going to happen in the main race, just go to the race before that, and you kind of see some patterns forming. Some people very aggressive on these restarts, want to make up as much ground as possible, as it looks like Marco is looking to go into the pits. Is he going to try to sell a dummy right here? Yes, he is.
And
Faking
we
right
have,
at the last moment.
sorry to interrupt you, Joshua, we have an interview live during the race. And so after calming him down a bit, we should have AJ Burton with us. There is, hello AJ.
Hey Marco.
So sadly a premature end to your race, AJ, and what happened there? Because it looked like you were sadly basically involved in a mess that you found yourself in that position without having anything to do there.
Yeah, I didn't want to be talking to you guys just yet. Was hoping for maybe 45 minutes or so, but that's the way it goes. Yeah, it was a bit messy at the start. I don't know, the racing looked a bit aggressive. Obviously, the cold track made it a bit of a pack race, so people were desperate to get to the front early. So we had that early yellow, and then coming to the restart, you've got more people trying to get a jump on others, and the guy behind me was just a little bit too fast to get on the throttle, and he turned me into the fence, and that's my day done. But I guess that's just what happens when you've got people with lesser experience being in a race where the margins are so fine. You're running at 220 miles an hour, right side by side, touching wheels almost in the turns. So just the way it goes.
Is this
Yeah, go ahead, Austin. Yeah.
Are you going to use this experience to adjust your strategy for the Open Wheels 500, since that is a group of people who have qualified for that event? I know you're one of the qualifiers. You aren't starting up the field, but you're down the field in the pack. Are you going to adjust your starting strategy in that 3-wide start instead of the 2-wide this Sunday?
I've already got my approach to what I'll do on Sunday in the Open Wheels race. It's 500 miles, a lot longer than what we do tonight, and the track temp, it's going to be so much hotter on Sunday. So it's going to be a completely different beast. And yeah, like I say, 500 miles, I'm going to be a lot more patient in that race. I know I wasn't exactly patient today, but I wasn't exactly aggressive either. I was just running top 10, not making any stupid moves, and just the way it goes with people on restarts. But yeah, like I say, Sunday will be a very, very different way of racing.
AJ,
Well,
you started 10th on the grid today. How was your qualifying setup compared to your race setup? We saw you able to race around in the top 10 quite a bit before you were wrecked. How is your car going into the Open Wheels 500? What are you going to change?
Oh, we got a good car going into the race, definitely. I'm hoping for a really good result, and obviously I've got some teammates starting right up the field, with Kelly in particular, who's on road 2. I think we're going to be fighting for the victory, if I'm being perfectly honest, but like I say, we'll have to wait and see. Qualifying was close between the whole field. Like at the weekend, you had people who were on the front row having teammates who were on the back row, so it's also close between all these teams, so you can't really say anything in terms of qualifying pace.
Thank you very much, AJ. We are about to get back to green. Commiserations for the bad result, and good luck for the big one in the weekend.
Cheers, guys. Hopefully see you soon.
Hope to see him in the winner's circle next weekend in Belle Isle. That'll be happening on November 19th. 40 laps in Detroit. The next time we'll see you here on Apex Racing TV. But the field making their way through turn number 3, down the short chute, and through turn number 4. And we're going to go back to racing. Marco Aurelio Brazil will head the field to green. Henry Bennett in 2nd, 3rd, John Downing, 4th, Adam Blocker, and in 5th, Matt Hollaby. 3 Americans in 3rd, 4th, and 5th, led by the Brazilian.
Pace cars in. It's all in Marco's hand, and he launches it and gets a good jump on Henry Bennett as we return to racing here at Indianapolis. And I think we got a little bit of slinky situation happening in the backfield.
Definitely looks like it, but it looks like they all got away good. And we have 3 wide racing for in the back. That looked like Delatone's taking it 3 wide right after getting caught up in a wreck. I believe they just made up 4 spots off of the start. Down the back straightaway, side by side.
What a restart by Dalladone. There was a big giant restart
again.
Still 3 wide. Dalladone up onto the inside, as this looks like racing for the lead, but this is really racing for P15.
Racing back in the field for B15, but we have some similar racing up in first. Downing to the inside on Bennett. Brazil gonna fall back, is second on the outside line. He'll fall back to third currently, as now he'll go for second into 2.
Heading out of 2, Downing and Bennett getting the same draft. Brazil caught out right there, sneaks behind Downing as Bennett's looking down to the inside, heading into turn 3, and Bennett's going to take over the lead.
Lots of lead changes here at Indianapolis. The field, especially up at the front, not spreading out that much. We're side by side with, it looks like, Adam Blocker and Matt Holloway for the 5th spot. Sorry, that was actually, looks like Sanchez and Holloway. Now Sanchez is going to join the party, passing Bourdin.
Back from Marco Arroyo, Brazil. Back on John Downing. Marco going down to the inside to break up that draft. Downing going to try to keep on that outside line and keep the speed. Around the outside of turn 3. Not going to have it. Marco stays in P1.
The top 7 at Indianapolis, you could put a blanket over them. Under 1 second gap through from the leader to 7th. They're all right in this group. And they're all battling for the lead. Taking it is going to be Brazil into 1, but Downing still on the outside, making the outside line work.
I think Downing's playing this smart, not chasing after that draft that Marco's creating, and just letting Marco go down to the inside and risk his car more. We see Adam Blocker following up that draft and moving up, down onto the inside. Downing staying high, keeping Blocker behind him, as well as Sanchez. He's having a little bit of battle with Blocker, but all of these guys, we see them at the top of each time. Marco almost looking like he's heading into the pit lane right there, as Downing going up. We're 3 wide down the front straight. We got another caution.
Caution comes out
Sam
right in the middle of
Blackwood.
that battle for the lead.
Sam Blackwood is in the inside wall of turn 3. What's
I
happened?
believe he was
to
already
him?
wrecked at one point in
Oh.
this race. Did he possibly might have had a wheel disconnect there? I can't
think he had-
fathom a driver of this caliber making such a mistake as that.
Well, that arrow is already a big hit. I believe he was already on the radio complaining about somebody not hitting for damage and giving him some more damage, and he just had nowhere to go. That's unfortunate. Single car crash to bring out the 4th caution of the night. 19 cars on track.
I want to talk about Silvio Sanchez really quickly. He was back, I believe, in P7 for a while, and then marched his way up right to almost the lead in a matter of a couple of laps. His car is insanely fast, started in the 5th spot. I think Sanchez is going to be a threat here late in the race. We're currently, I believe we are around lap 20. I think as we get into the latter half of this race, yeah, lap 21, I believe when we get into the latter half of this race, Sanchez might be a threat for the lead, but Downing, Brazil, and Blocker, not to mention Bennett, are kind of having a command of this race. They're kind of just passing the lead in between each of them. But I think there's going to be a spoiler coming up here soon. I think there might be a wreck up at the front taking out some of our good drivers.
Hashtag Dolly Nation is in the chat. They're cheering for Brazil and Sanchez, so they have a little bit of a fan base for the Brazilians in third and for second.
Finally,
and
everyone
third
coming
as
down pit road.
the leaders head into the pits. Everyone fanning out just a little bit, hitting those cones and getting into their pit boxes. Who's
Andrews
gonna win?
Ike stays out.
Yeah.
Ike stays out. Keefe stays out. Sorry, that's Keeman actually staying out. Antoner Jr. staying out. 3 cars staying on the racetrack. I wonder, the last time they pitted, Ike pitted on lap 13. Jr. pitted on lap 13. But I am Keeman. Last pitted on lap 4. He is on 18 lap old tires. Don't know what the strategy call is for him, but everybody else down pit road. And getting off first is going to be Downing, and then it looks like Brazil and Sanchez. Brazil got out first, then Sanchez, and then the 2 of Adam Blocker.
That was very close race off of pit road, but this is definitely going to adjust the and definitely throw up a little bit of a this is going to affect the restart because I think there's a little bit of damage on Keeman. Can we get a look at Keeman's car? I think there might be some damage on there if you look at the side pod.
Let's see, maybe
Looks like
we
his
can get a
car's a bit
closer
dirty.
look. Car is certainly dirty, but I think you can get away with it.
Don't know
Right
if there's any
side
damage
seems
to the
okay.
side pod.
Let's see the left side of his car.
Because one of the
Seems to be
drivers
okay.
in the race chat has said, Keeman, you know your car is damaged. Oh, look at that side pod. Has a little bit of a bump on there. The bodywork
Sure?
is just a bit undefined.
Could he have possibly gotten some damage from that start wreck we had a couple of laps ago?
We don't know, but it's looking like he's heading into the pits right now.
He will give up a P2 spot, but Ike and Junior still staying out. Like I said, last pitted on lap 13, but everybody else behind them all the way from Downing back to Brendan Lichtenberg have all pitted on lap 21 there on fresh Firestone Reds. And the lights are out of the pace car. We're going to go back to racing with Ike and Junior headed to the field.
Want to say thank you to Fabio Zamperini for just subscribing to us on Apex Racing TV.
Oh yeah, I forgot to have the notifications on the screen, but thank you, Fabio, nonetheless, for